Ever watch your favorite battle anime and think, man, I wish I had a superpowered ghost partner to help me out? Well, what if I told you that incredible idea isn't new at all? In fact, it's ancient. Okay, let's get into it and uncover the thousand-year-old secret that connects some of the biggest anime on the planet.
I mean, think about it. You've got the curses in Jujutsu Kaisen, the legendary stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and the personas from, well, Persona. This idea of fighting with a spiritual being that's basically a part of you, it's everywhere. It feels like it's just part of the DNA of anime. But why? Where did this amazing concept even come from? And it's not just those big three, right? The pattern goes so much deeper. We're talking guardian ghosts in Shaman King, Sanpakuto spirits in Bleach, the heroic servants in Fate Stay Night. I could go on all day. This isn't just some passing trend. It's a foundational pillar, a kind of shared blueprint for dozens of our favorite stories. You know, there's actually a name for this whole genre, which is pretty useful for our investigation. The externalized power battle. The idea is simple but brilliant. It's any story where a character's inner world, their spirit, their willpower, their soul, is literally pulled out and given a physical form to fight with. It's the ultimate way to show us who a character is, instead of just telling us. But not all these powers are created equal. We can actually break them down into about three main flavors. First, you've got your stand type, like in JoJo's or Persona, where the entity is a direct reflection of the user's own mind. Then there's the Shikigami type, which you see in Jujutsu Kaisen. That's all about summoning and commanding these spiritual agents. And finally, you have the contract type, where the hero teams up with a totally separate, powerful being, like in Fate/Stay Night.
Okay, so we've got a name for it, and we know it's different variations. So the big question now is, where did the modern version of this really begin? Who perfected it? We're going to go on a hunt for a patient zero. And honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. One single series came along and created the operating system that pretty much every other battle manga would build on. It laid down the rules, it set the structure, and it basically wrote the source code for decades of stories that came after it. And that series was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. This is it. This is where Hirohiko Araki gave the world stance. He took a bunch of cool floating ideas and smashed them together into one incredible, cohesive system where every character's power was totally unique, super visual, and tied directly to their personality. Suddenly, fights weren't just about who could punch harder. They were these brilliant, strategic chess matches. The year was 1989. This was the moment the game changed, forever. The introduction of stands was a big bang for battle manga, and we are still feeling the shockwaves today. But of course, even an idea as genius as stands doesn't just pop out of nowhere. It was built on the shoulders of giants, so let's peel back the layers of history a bit and look at the prototypes that paved the way. Looking back, you can literally see the puzzle pieces falling into place. Way back in the 1960s, a manga called Akuma-kun was already playing with the idea of summoning demons through contracts. Then, in 1971, Babiel II gave us a hero who fought alongside these powerful, separate servants. Fast forward to 85, and Saint Seiya made unique, character-specific powers super popular, though they weren't quite separate beings yet. Araki's genius with JoJo's was taking all of these threads and weaving them together into the perfect system. But now we get to the really good stuff. We've traced the manga history, but the cultural roots, they go so much deeper. We're about to uncover the original operating system, the thousand-year-old source code for this entire idea. Get ready for this. On Myoto. And this wasn't some fantasy world building. This was a real thing. An ancient Japanese system of magic, science, and cosmology. For centuries, this was a state-sponsored institution. Think of it like a spiritual version of the Department of Defense, designed to handle everything from making calendars to dealing with curses. And what was the #1 tool in an Onmyoto master's toolkit? Shikigami. Sound familiar? It should. These were spiritual entities, basically agents or servants, that a master practitioner, called an onmyoji, could summon and control to do their bidding. Spying, protection, even attacking. They were, for all intents and purposes, the original externalized power units. And right here, this is where it all just clicks into place. Look at this. On one side, the ancient Onmyodo system. On the other, the curse technique system from Jujutsu Kaisen. The parallels are absolutely undeniable. You've got an operator, the onmyoji or the sorcerer.
You've got the external unit, the Shikigami. You've got an energy source and an interface to control it. It is the exact same architecture, just given a fresh coat of paint 1,000 years later. So if this system was real, who was the master? Who was the original Sorcerer Supreme, the real-life guy whose abilities became the stuff of absolute legend?
His name was Abe no Seimei, and what makes him so unbelievably fascinating is that he was a real person, a high-ranking government official in the Japanese court back in the 10th century. He was a bureaucrat, an astronomer, who over time became mythologicized as Japan's most powerful sorcerer. I mean, the powers that legend gives this guy are just insane. They say he could command dozens of Shikigami like they were his own hands, he could predict the future with terrifying accuracy, see and banish demons, and even talk to the dead. He is the archetype for that calm, cool, all-powerful sorcerer character we know and love.
And to really get how important he actually was, it helps to kind of translate his job into modern terms. His role as chief astronomer, that's basically like being the head of NASA. His job predicting plagues and curses, he was a national security analyst. And commanding all those Shikigami agents, that sounds an awful lot like a modern AI operator or a military drone commander, doesn't it? He was a master of managing invisible forces.
So, let's tie this all together. What we have here is a clear, direct line of influence stretching all the way from an ancient government bureaucrat to the pages of today's biggest manga. It's an incredible 1,000-year legacy.
So here's how it happened, in 4 clear steps. First, you have the foundation, ancient Amyo-do and its Shikigami. Second, you get the prototypes in early manga like Akuma-kun that adapt the summoning idea. Third, 80s hits like Saint Seiya come along and polish the concept of unique personal powers. And fourth, the synthesis. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fuses it all together into the stand system, creating the operating system for a whole new generation.
So here it is, the big takeaway. When you're watching Gojo Satoru unleash his domain, or Jotaro Kujo stop time, you are not just watching a cool modern story, you are watching the latest build of a cultural and narrative operating system that was first designed in the courts of ancient Japan over 1,000 years ago. And that leaves us with one last, kind of mind-bending thought. This core idea of humans using external semi-autonomous agents to see the world and exert their will, it hasn't gone anywhere. So as we move into the future, are our AI companions, our virtual assistants, and our combat drones just the next evolution of this? Are we all becoming the Onyoji of the 21st century? Definitely something to think about.